it's like one of those things. It's a fine balance, as you know. Like I try to like a little bit of whistle blowing, but then I'm like, I don't want to get censored. So it's just like this.
No, I know. I won't bring it. I'll be good.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I want to like say all that stuff, but then I'm like, I don't want to get like banned.
I know. Listen, and it's real. You will get banned. So,
totally. Yes. Hey everybody, welcome to Lauren.Live, the spirituality, health, and lifestyle podcast. Today I have Shiva Rose with me. Shiva, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on Venus Friday.
Oh, perfect. Yes, Shiva and I have been connected for a while, and I've been following her for a while, and we've kind of just been trying to get connected, so this means so much. We're finally here. It's the right time, and we just have so much awesome stuff to talk about. So Shiva has a beauty line, Shiva Rose Beauty. We'll talk a little bit about that, but she does all types of cool stuff like beekeeping, and lives in Texas, and she's been showing a lot on her Instagram. We'll share that later, the handle, but just about like the importance of soil and farming these days with all the like food shortages and just coming back to nature. And I know she has a large spiritual aspect to her that I'm very drawn to. That's my number one thing, obviously, on the show, and just like femininity and the beauty and love and just keeping a balanced lifestyle in this crazy world. So we have a ton to talk about. So, yeah, but will you just share kind of who you are, like where you come from, how you got into all the things that you're in now, and then we'll see where the conversation goes.
And you can hear me okay, right?
Yes.
I just want to make, perfect.
Yeah.
I have such an old phone that the video recording audio doesn't work, but for some reason on Zoom and Instagram it works.
Oh, so good. Yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah, no, it's okay.
So thank you for that introduction. And I suppose the journey was, I had a child very young at 25, and I couldn't recover. And after a year of feeling horrible and exhausted and achy and terrible, I went to strangely, I went to a dermatologist because I had a huge bruise on my back. I thought it was a bruise, and he saw that and he sent me to the rheumatologist. And the rheumatologist did all these tests and told me I had a year to live because I had scleroderma, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. And this is pre-internet. So it was basically, I remember my mother being in the room and just breaking out sobbing. But thank God I'm a rebel. And thank God even at that young age, I just knew that we create our own reality. And I said, no, that's not my story. I'm a new mother. My baby's, just a wee little thing. And I'm not going to take that answer. And a good friend then recommended a Sikh doctor who was more holistic minded. And he told me I would start to feel better within a year. Okay. So it was totally too drastic prognoses. And at that time I was an actress. I was a wife, a mother, and lived in, Los Angeles. But that started me on the path. So it wasn't really clear. Even then, there were many, back and forth, and it took longer than a year. And I tried Western medicine, non-Western diets. I'd be researching my own how to recover by myself, in these libraries and pharmacies before the internet. And I slowly started to piece things together because even, some doctors couldn't figure out what my ailments were. Of course, now I know what it was. It was adrenal exhaustion. It was autoimmune. It was probably parasites. It was probably, so many things, burnout, hormones. I mean, now, of course, it's like that's the beauty of this time we live in. Yes, there's overstimulation and overinformation, but we also have access if we really know how to hone it in. Mm-hmm. So that sort of got me on the path. And then I ended up having a second daughter, and then I got healthy, and then I had a second daughter, and then everything fell apart again. I was getting divorced and my health was failing again. And I ended up just changing careers. I ended up buying a little house in the Santa Monica Mountains, and I started to grow my own food. I got rid of all the toxic chemicals in my home. I just started from the ground up again when my youngest was 2. And that was about 10 years ago. And it was sort of before goop. And I mean, I remember when Gwyneth started hers, I started mine, and then she started, we were kind of like around that same time where people just wanted another way. They began to wake up. I mean, breast cancer, autoimmune, thyroid issues. I mean, these things are skyrocketing, autism. So, I think people, especially mothers, were like, wait a second, there's something going on. And so that I was definitely on the early side of this journey. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all the trials and tribulations.
Yeah. And it's almost like what you went through helped you find your calling, and you know what I mean? Like now you can help other people. And well, I'm so glad that you were able to heal, and I'm really passionate about that. I talk all about that kind of stuff, and I've seen you post a few things. I think that maybe you are a fan of Medical Medium. I am a big fan. Just some of the things that he talks about, like celery juice. And
some of the things. I think some
of them.
I think like anything I've learned is we can't take, because we're all so different.
Right.
What works for one person cannot work for the other. I do love his. I think if you're in dire crisis, his is the best
chronic
method
illness.
to just to get to the base root of whatever's going on with the celery juice and the clearing and the cleansing. I think if you're in dire situation, but then, now I was a vegetarian for 25 years, and now I use animal, I eat ancestrally. I try to, and I feel better than I've ever felt, with bone broth. And, I don't eat meat all the time. It's still hard for me, but I do it medicinally. Sure. And, I take liver pills, and my hair has never, I'm 50 and my hair's like never been bad. So I'm like, geez, I wish I did this when I was in my 20s when I needed it the most.
A balance. I think that's so true. That's what I always think. I just keep hearing information and you place it together. But I feel like we should eat how our ancestors ate. They would have maybe a deer and eat meat for a couple of weeks, and then they may not have meat for a couple of weeks. That's how they ate, right? That's how we should be eating. It's not like it's all meat all the time or no meat all the time. So anywho, that's a whole nother tangent. But can you just share like a few of the type of products that you do have in your line? Is it more like skincare, or do you have like makeup, or is it mostly creams? And
well, so when I started that healing journey 10 years ago, I started a blog called The Local Rose. And then I was doing Kundalini yoga to get over my divorce and another relationship. And I was so heartbroken. So I started doing Kundalini like daily. And the skincare line, I was always making this face oil for like 15 years. And this is when people didn't go near oils. They were like, oh my God, oils make me break out and this and that. And I was like, wait, but I love oils. So in a Kundalini meditation, my skincare line came to me. The Shiva Rose face oil came to me, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make that for others. I want to share it. And that sort of sparked the line. So it is a beauty line, non-toxic. And at that time, again, this is 8 years ago, the only line I could think of that was non-toxic and chic was Tata Harper. Basically, at that time I was going to health food stores and buying stuff, and I'd be like, I love this granola hippie stuff, but it's not exactly, the net-a-porter that I'm also, and that's kind of how I started my blog too. I was like, wait, I'm this like hippie granola girl, but yet I want, I love beautiful frette sheets or, things that are organic.
Feminine,
now.
And you want to feel pretty.
Yeah, you want to feel, I always felt like my ideal vacation would be a beautiful yurt in Big Sur with like, cotton organic luxurious sheets, but yet you're camping in the wilderness. So that niche,
glamping of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah. That's a huge passion of mine. And I mean, I'm always on the hunt trying to find stuff, and I'm not perfect, trust me, but I just, as best as I can, I'm trying to eliminate, I think it's just people don't always think about it. That's part of this podcast about being conscious, just what toothpaste you're using and deodorant, hand soap, even if just those things, those basic things that you use multiple times a day, think of the contact in your body. And I think, like you said, our adrenal systems, our hormones, especially as women, it's messing with us. And of course it is. I mean, just all the toxins, we weren't made to be using these things really. And so our ancestors were sweating and they didn't use deodorant. Now, again, not to say we can't do that, but because I don't want to smell either. I want to feel clean and like a woman and attractive in our culture. But I think there are ways. And so I appreciate it.
The irony is too, if you eat clean, you don't smell as bad. If you use, chlorophyll, a few drops of chlorophyll in your water, you don't smell. I mean, it's really interesting too. Like when you change your diet and when you start going through that shift.
That's really
start
true.
going, oh, this is different. But yes, you're right. It's like we're bombarded with something like 30,000 chemicals or something. And we're going, I mean, you're right. And I mean, look, the men are so infertile. The testosterone, I heard a man today at 25 has the testosterone level of a 75-year-old man from the 90s or something. Awful. It's like horrific. Like these are, unfortunately the men are getting it too. Well, the women are too from sick autoimmune and cancer. All that is probably what the women
eating and like, this is a good segue into something I know that you care about and I care about, but, like our soil and the crops that we eat, right? So, I mean, maybe some people know, most people might know this, but if you're not eating like organic, I mean, soy is not really great for you anyways, but just soy, wheat, corn, the main big, grains. If you're not eating organic, you're pretty much guaranteed to be eating stuff that's been sprayed with Roundup, basically. And then people are using it in their personal lawns too. Think of the exposure there. So it's just like, of course there's infertility and different things going on.
No, glyphosate. It's glyphosate. And that's why everyone's allergic or wheat intolerant, or, I mean, it's not that we're wheat intolerant. It's that our wheat is contaminated. And unfortunately it's pretty much everywhere. Like you can't even organic. I mean, that's why a lot of people say they go to Europe and their laws are stricter and you can eat pasta all day and never feel bad,
That's true. So I know that's something that's important to you. You've posted about it, and I follow Zach Bush too. If people don't know about Zach Bush, that she is great. But we have this crisis with our soil where like our food now isn't even as nutritious as it used to be because we've ruined our soil. And so that's the beauty of farming or having gardens in your home. And like, what do we do, I guess? Like, what are some things that you've been doing and things that you know about this that people could try to make some changes or just become aware?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's almost, I think, I forget the statistic, but you have to eat like 70 carrots now, to get the nutritional value of a carrot from, years ago, decades ago. Well, first of all, everyone should be taking magnesium because magnesium used to be in our soil, it had minerals and now it's deficient. And so many issues, so many anxiety issues, so many aches and joints and, depression and all of this can be contributed to magnesium deficiency. So I would say everyone should just take it across the board, should be taking magnesium because everyone's deficient. And then, yes, buying from your local farmer's market, that's how we can give back. And maybe the price is a little bit higher. But years ago when I had my blog, I actually went to the farmer's market with $20 and then went to the regular market. And it was actually it was cheaper at the farmer's market because you can get deals too when you go towards the end and they want to sell their things. And so there are things you can do. Definitely eat organic, go to your farmer's market, try to, regenerative farming is something I'm so passionate about. And it's all about, we have 60 years left on this planet, 60 years, unless we change the soil. We've, the pharmaceutical, the Monsantos, the Bayers, they've destroyed our soil, topsoil with these chemicals. But we can bring it back with regenerative farming. When I went to this conference, I was so moved because this ranch, Rome Ranch near us, bought this land and it had a riverbed, a creek bed. And the people that sold it to them said, oh, it'll never run. It's been, it hasn't run in like 10 years. They started running buffalo on the land. And within 4 years, this is like a gushing river now. So regenerative farming is, it's proven. It's when the animals roam free, they're creating the carbon, they're allowing the carbon to be absorbed in the soil. So between the animals and then not tilling the soil and allowing it to just go through its natural process and, all these things that we do, if we go back, we can actually save our planet. So yes, it's a very passionate subject for me.
Yeah, it's quite alarming to hear that. And if you want to get deeper, like I said, check out Zach Bush. He's on Instagram. He's got like amazing content. I heard him on another podcast and I was like blown away. He has a lot of interesting thoughts on all types of things like viruses because he's a doctor, but also the soil. That's his big passion.
He's a spiritual leader. I saw him at this conference and he is not, I think he started out as a doctor.
But now he's more of a spiritual.
He had me in tears. Yeah. After a 2-hour long time, I mean, he had the whole room on. He's a spiritual leader right now. I feel like he does, whether he wants to be or not.
Right. No, he's very conscious. He talks about just like we're all connected. And I mean, what we're doing now is affecting our children. I mean, think about that. And that's very true. Oh gosh, I'm trying to figure out how I want to take this conversation. There's just like so many aspects that I think like just overall, because I know that you are spiritual too, like me, and that's important for me in my life. And how do you find balance? Like, you're informed, a lot of your stuff, I would call you like a spiritual, feminine, like loving whistleblower. I hate labels. I mean, I'm just saying that to be kind of be funny, but
I like that.
You're sharp and you're educated, but you're also loving. And I think from what I'm, at least what I perceive from your posts and stuff. And I try to be like that too, but I also try not to watch the news too much. Cause for me personally, especially in this place that I'm in with just like pregnant and I have a young child, it's just too much for me right now. Like I'm kind of in this like survival mode. And I have to protect myself.
Don't. Yeah. No, you got to insulate yourself and protect yourself.
But I'm aware.
Like, just like you were saying, our ancestors didn't get all this news feed either.
Yeah, that's true.
Our nervous systems cannot handle it. It's like crazy.
I know. But I'm aware. It's pretty much hard to not be aware unless you're living under a rock. But I guess like, how do you balance it? Like you have to stay informed and know what's going on to make these decisions, right? Of like what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, where you're going to shop, what you're going to put in your body. But like, how do you balance it in like daily practice?
You know what? It is a struggle. It's so interesting. When we moved here to this land in rural Texas, we didn't have internet. We didn't have Wi-Fi. And at first I was like, oh my God, how am I going to work? And I was working in a parking lot, Natural Grocers in town was my office. I'd be like having to like go
get Wi-Fi,
to emails and phone calls, like nothing worked here. And then we got this Starlink, Elon Musk internet that he created it's a satellite thing. Wow. And I was very excited, but now it's funny you should say that. I realized yesterday, I'm like, I'm not talking to my guides anymore. I'm not talking to my ancestors. I used to like take 2 hours and just, meditate and pray and walk and just like, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really have. So it is a struggle. And I think in this time with this Wi-Fi and we have to be extra disciplined. And to be honest, I kind of miss the days when we didn't have that here. So I think I have to make a rule where I don't turn on my phone until 11, even though for business it can be hard, but I think it is because otherwise we just go down these rabbit holes and it's so addictive.
It is. It's so addictive. I'm really struggle with that too. And I'm very interested in trying to get in contact with my guides. And I feel like I've had certain things come through and I feel very blocked. And that could also be a timing thing for me right now in my life. But I think, I'm guilty. Like I'll lay in bed before bed. I'm looking at Instagram. Like I want to know what's going on in the world. It's interesting to me. I'm very visual. There's a lot of like beauty, but then also it's just noise. It's like, what am I doing? Like I don't feel fulfilled. It's so addicting. So
well, why don't we do a little bond? Maybe even with your viewers, why don't we do a little thing where we no phone in the bed, only books. Maybe sometimes I'll watch a historical film just to get my mind off things because it relaxes me, Maybe we have like boundaries. No phone in the morning till like 9 o'clock. I mean, if we stick to that, we could then,
that's the thing at night, like when you're going to bed and then the first thing when you do, I actually do this. I will wake up and before I look at my phone, I do my gratitude and I just start the day with like, what am I grateful for in my life? And that is a great way to start. But yeah, I think going to bed and waking up it's a fragile time. And I think that's a perfect time ending your day and starting your day right without technology. Yes. So that's a perfect time to connect to whatever you want to call it, your God or your source.
Well, I'll do it with you.
Okay.
If you want.
Sounds good. Whoever wants to do it with us, let's start a thing. Sounds good.
And it's not like a fast for all day. It's just like the beginning and the end of the day. It's not even like.
It's true. I know. That's a small.
Okay. I vow to you. This is good for me because I need this too.
Accountability.
I'm going back to my practice. I mean, I do my practices, but they're not as deep as they used to be. So.
It's true. Okay, let's make a goal. And just at least I think just not in bed is that's a good like rule.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I need that so much. So whoever wants to join us, feel free.
And for you, your guides, I don't know if you know this, but you have to give them permission to reach out to you. So
I always ask for signs and, little signs and different things. And I guess, would you share like some of your intuitive journey? Like, have you gotten intuitive messages before and different?
Oh my gosh, 100%.
Okay.
I mean, 1,000%. Like I wouldn't, the fact that I'm in Texas, like we bought our land right before the pandemic, and at the time I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And now every day there's somebody moving like an hour away, half hour away, it's like crazy. Like this was all, divine. Me personally had no idea, or my skincare line or my book, these things, I felt like I was just the channel
coming in.
But we have to become clear so we can be the channel,
Trying. I don't have fluoride in my water. That's my first step. I'm trying.
Huge. That's huge.
But then like going back to the magnesium, I think I messaged you because I saw that. I was like, I know when you drink fluoride, not reverse osmosis, or removes the trace minerals. And then I thought, oh no, now I'm going to be lacking in that. And I haven't been sleeping well, which partly I think is like pregnancy insomnia. I really had that last time too. But I think maybe the magnesium is helping a little bit because it is in that trace mineral. So people, if you do drink bottled water or reverse osmosis, know that you're not getting these vital trace minerals. And I think the one that I use is like Ocean Blue. Isn't that what it's called or something?
Oh, Ocean. I love this one. I think it's called, I'll have to send you the link. It's like by Energizer, but it's 7 different kinds of magnesium because there's many magnesiums.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I'm lacking some of that then. And I know that can help us sleep.
I'll send you the link to this one that I love because it's 7.
Okay.
And it really helps. And then the other thing, melatonin. I mean, I don't know if you can take it when you're pregnant. I would double check.
Yeah.
But I take just a tiny bit and it's like made a huge difference. There's a doctor that I met with who makes incredible supplements that you do suppository or through the nose. Okay. They're not through the mouth because he realized you absorb it more. And he says he takes like huge amounts of melatonin. He thinks that's the key to everything.
Interesting.
To anti-aging and, so I'm a believer of that now. And I mean, progesterone too, progesterone is the happy hormone when you're pregnant. And then maybe a touch of progesterone for you would be good too.
I need to go back to my holistic. I went to a holistic doctor and we started, and then I kind of just, I got busy, but we did like the whole food allergy test. And I need to go back to her because I love, they check, doing your blood panels and like what's going on and what are you low in. And my sodium levels were actually low, which is interesting. So I don't know. I think even last pregnancy, I used a topical magnesium cream and I noticed when I put that on, I slept better.
Yes, definitely. And sea salt, like take some Celtic salt in the morning and put it in your water with lemon. It tastes so good. And that's because we lose all our salt in the night when we're sleeping.
Right.
So
like good salt.
The sodium. Yeah, good salt.
No table salt.
All the trace minerals.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so many things. I love that you're interested in all these. That's the thing is it can get a little overwhelming to me. There's so many different supplements. And so I think that's why you have to just find out what you need because everyone's going to tell you like, take this, but check in.
Listen, I have done, that should be my next, I should have just with all the lists of the things, because I've gone through them all. I mean, I've done, decades of research.
Yeah. But I think there's
really exciting things coming on. There's so much exciting, neurotropics and just these mad scientists that are creating things that, like I take an NAD supplement and I also take a glutathione. And I mean, I feel like I was diagnosed with Lyme. And I realized I've had it probably for many years, but I feel so good now. I'm like, I don't need any of that because of these things that I'm doing it's all about detox pathways too, which I didn't know about until maybe the last 5 years. But if your detox pathways are shut down, which many people's are, you can't detox, so you can't feel good.
You're just going to always feel bad. Yeah. That's one thing like the medical medium talks about. Again, not for everybody, but a lot of us have pathogens, bacteria and viral loads in us that are making us really sick. I honestly do think that's where he's pretty spot on. I think a lot of autoimmunes, we call them autoimmunes. I don't really think our bodies were meant to attack ourselves, really. I think it's all the toxins that we're taking in from the environment, or if you have a high viral load in your body. I mean, think of it. We've all had, as kids, well, we did before the vaccine, but chicken pox. And so you have those things dormant in you, right? And I think for a while, I think I had Epstein-Barr, and I had chronic fatigue. And the only thing that ever helped me was that celery juicing, right? For me.
Well, I think you should look at the idea that this is the other thing that I've had a breakthrough is that parasites.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Mm-hmm.
Everybody has parasites. You might as well just
tested. Do you just get your stool tested?
They can't even,
So how do you know?
Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. You just have to accept the fact that you, and
probably
if you
do.
After your baby, like 6 months, do a parasite cleanse.
Okay.
I mean, that started me. I, again, feel so good because I think I've gotten rid of, but it's a constant battle. I think we do in other cultures, they do parasite cleanses every couple times a year. We're the only culture that doesn't really talk about it. We give it to our animals, but not to ourselves. So I think parasite cleanses 2 or 3 times a year. I mean, I'm obsessed. I do them like every other month now. And I'm just like,
you notice a difference. Yeah. Well, because that can contribute to probably things like fatigue, or it's messing with your gut biome, right?
Oh yeah. No, now they're realizing, a lot of these functional holistic doctors are saying Epstein-Barr and lupus, all these are parasite based, they believe.
That's crazy.
So many things. I mean, people are saying even cancer could be, parasite. If you think about parasites, they're there and they taking your nutrients
like a slow, yeah,
exactly, a slow leak.
Oh my gosh. Well, because I know papaya and papaya seeds, right? That can be really helpful for parasites.
Papaya seeds are great.
Yeah.
Diatomaceous earth, just things that you want to add in every day that you can. These are great for everyday just maintenance.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many things. And it's so crazy that's what you said, that there is so much beauty now. There is a lot of more natural way, holistic healing. We know more about natural medicine, and we know that a lot of our illnesses are coming from things that we didn't realize before, right? You would just call it something else, but it's like, actually look deeper, right? Why do you have that symptom?
Well, if you imagine if like the average person has a parasite, so they're not getting nutrients from their food, and then they're taking chemicals, and then their detox pathways aren't open. I mean, the poor body is just going to be like, of course people are going to get sick.
Right. And even just fatigue and anxiety. Like, I think that in itself, so many people struggle with. That's probably a lot of it's related. Like it's just.
Oh yeah. No, it's all related. And I've been, now I'm working with this Healy thing. I don't know if you've heard of the Healy, but this is like really incredible. It's this frequency device that I'm into. And, now it's like, I'm working on it with my family, and that's a whole nother story, but it's like, I feel like it's the future, and the future will all be our own doctors, and probably the the pharmaceutical companies don't want us to know this, but I really do believe we'll become our own healers and our own doctors someday.
Well, we might have to before. Well, that's one thing I think, like, maybe to kind of shift the conversation into a little bit of like the awakening, the term, but I think we're being forced to become our own doctors. We're being forced, which that sounds silly because we did that in our ancestral years. We just were. It wasn't a weird thing, shamans and stuff, but we're being forced to. We're being forced to, you know what I mean? Like all aspects of life, education's changing, food system, the soils, I think everything, digital currency, the World Bank, everything has to change because it's not working right now. Yeah. It's not working anymore. These old paradigms.
It's like dismantling the old, which we can look at it and be distressed. And of course it is scary. And yet we can be like, oh no, let's turn it around and make it empowering. Like if they ban abortion for women, of course I believe in freedom of choice, but you know what? Let's take our wisdom back and know when our cycles are, and know how to not have a pregnancy, and know how to, the things that are, that these witches and midwives did hundreds of years ago. Let's all become educated in our body. I mean, it's our body. It's like, how more empowering is that,
Totally.
Or to figure it out.
I agree. I think that there's a gift in all this chaos.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it won't. I'm hoping that for the best.
Yeah, me too. Sorry if people can hear my child. My baby just woke up from her nap.
No. How old is your baby?
She's 18 months.
Oh, yeah, so you're definitely having back-to-back.
2 in diapers. Do you have any advice for any mothers that might be listening to, like, just how do we raise children in this world too? That can feel really overwhelming. Like, I don't know.
It can, but you know what? Don't get overwhelmed, because we got it. The light wins, and love is the only thing that really matters. And we want to create this new, the new humanity, with these incredible beings. And I would say, which I'm sure you have, is community is so important for new moms, right?
Definitely.
Like you need help.
Yes.
I hope, no one did this for me, but I hope someone can do this for you. But for 40, in Ayurveda and a lot of other traditions, a mama and the baby stay home for 40 days and they are pampered, meaning meals are brought to them.
That's so
massages
nice.
are given to them for 40 days. But you know what? It prevents postpartum. It prevents colic. Like the studies say that over the long haul, it's actually more beneficial for society to take care of the mama and the baby.
Right.
Maybe tell your partner, look, I would really like, even if you can just do 35 days,
or just like
days.
the massages. That sounds nice. I'm like, could I just have some regular massage? And because then you're not worrying about the
this is built into the Indian culture. 40 days they have. It's
we need that.
We got, I think I had 2 weeks with my kid.
Yeah, we need that more in this culture. You're the second person that actually told me that. I'm trying to think who I was talking to, and they were telling me that like part of the culture. Yeah. That's another, the maternity leave and all that crap here. It's just ridiculous.
But I guess we need to create it, even if
we need to demand it and create it and support one another. And, but I think the children coming in now too have like a special intuition. I believe we all pick when to come. And I think that these kids coming in now, I'm hoping there are a light force that's going to get us through some of this crazy stuff.
Definitely. Aren't they the crystal children, I believe?
I don't know. I haven't heard that term. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting time. And I've done some, podcast with some people that are talking about, fostering your intuitive child and talking about homeschooling and the education changing. And, there's just like so much I heard you on a past podcast. That's how I found out about you. And just remember, again, we don't have to get too into it, but just about like, even like vaccines or different things, the children, it's just like being a parent, but I'm speaking from my perspective as a mother, like there's just so many choices that we have to make. And it can feel overwhelming, right? And there's so much information. And I think you just have to find your truth, what works for you, and listen to your intuition, right? And if you don't want to give your child something, like you shouldn't be bullied or shamed. And I don't know.
And it's hard. Believe me, what about the mom that has to work a job and put her kid in daycare and there's no choice?
Right.
My heart goes out. Like I feel very, I hate the word privilege, but I feel very blessed that I, could opt out of that situation. But my heart really goes out to people who have no choice, and the law says you need to have this and this and this to get to work here and to have your kid at school. But in that case, this is the dismantling of that old world. A lot of these people are saying, okay, forget it, I'm not going to do it, and they're moving, they're changing their lives. And
there are a lot of people moving, like you said, I've known a lot of people move to Texas, or that are moving from Washington to Idaho and Montana and other places. Like it's an interesting time. There's so much shifting. Oh,
the migration. It's crazy. The exodus. Yeah.
My husband would have moved
I think sovereignty, it really makes you ask what's important to you. Is the Mercedes-Benz, which believe me, I love nice things.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. But is that more important to you, or having your kid, not
certain
have
freedoms? Exactly. I know it's a wild time, but I think it's good. Again, I didn't think about this stuff. I didn't think about vaccines really that much before I was going to have a child. Now I think about it like crazy, and my views have really shifted. And I just think what I think is wild is like there were, I think, 3 on the booster for like my parents' age from 0 to 18. Now there's 70. Is it 4? 72?
Yeah, or even my age, because I'm older, and I didn't have that many.
It's just insane.
And I believe my autoimmune came from, because, I'm half Iranian, and we traveled to Iran when I was a kid, and I had the smallpox vaccine.
Okay.
Some doctors believe that caused lupus. There's some people that, for me, that's
And that's what's so hard about the statistics too, I guess, and to make this like less controversial, just more in a loving, when you talk about these topics with people, it's like, again, no one's body is the same. Like I could get a vaccine and be completely fine, just like the COVID stuff, right? So it's not about who's right or wrong.
MTHFR. I have the gene MTHFR. I don't know if you know about that gene, but 75% of Americans have this gene where they cannot process, they can't detox, they can't absorb vitamin B, and they can't detox alcohol. Like I can drink like half a glass, but if I drink more than that, I feel absolutely awful because I can't process it. And I never knew that. But I think that's why, yes, I had the smallpox vaccine as a child and my body couldn't process it. My brother was fine, but I ended up getting, lupus and autoimmune. And so, you're right. Everybody's body is different.
And that's why I think at the end of the day, it's not like it's hard because everyone's like, you're right or you're wrong, or it's an argument. It's not really. It's about medical freedom. Like if you want to take something or do something, do it. Don't make somebody else do it because they might have a reaction, and that's just not fair, And it's not just with the vaccines, with anything in,
Well, I've also lived through it because my daughter. I mean, I don't know if we want to go into that, but I've seen it happen to my kids.
Vaccine injuries.
Yeah. So
it's a real thing.
And that's, I feel like where is the Me Too movement for mothers who believe something happened to their and they're called these horrible names?
Right.
Like, where is that
you conspiracy theorist, right? Yeah. Well, again,
I mean, a mother knows. A mother knows their kid. They know when they're one way one day and totally different the next day.
Yes.
There's like, you can't take a mama's,
absolutely. Yeah, I think, even me, like, I don't know, it's just a theory, but like I have some tattoos and I think after like, that's really when my fatigue started setting in too. So it's possible like the heavy metals that soaked in, and then that could, if I had Epstein-Barr or a parasite or whatever, it's so too complicated and I may never know, but heavy metals are obviously that fuels things that are going on in your body in a negative way, right? So it's just like, your body, everyone's different. Someone else could get a tattoos and be completely fine, or you know what I mean? So I just think you have to be your best advocate. You have to find your inner truth and your intuition. And I think that's like a huge message that I try to like portray on this podcast.
I really think after your baby and after you've weaned her, or him, you should consider, her.
Yeah, it's a girl. Yeah.
You should consider doing, I just did the Linda Lancaster for parasite cleanses. I love Cellcore, which is a herbal one, or Linda Lancaster. She's this incredible doctor in New Mexico who was an MD that does holistic, but she does a milk cleanse, which believe me was hard for me because I wasn't a big, I liked milk in my coffee, but I'm not like a big milk drinker, but there are some great protocols, and maybe C, because that releases your heavy metals. She has these baths you take for heavy metal, with baking soda and apple cider vinegar, and it gets rid of all the heavy metal in your body. I mean, I think after the baby and after you've,
experiment.
I bet you it'll be like a huge, release. And
I've heard baking soda is really good. Actually, it hasn't gone live yet. I did a episode with Dr. Circus is his name. He treats cancer patients with a multitude of different recipes, but he uses baking soda a lot. I don't really know the scientific, is it what is it called? I don't know, scientific term for baking soda, but I'm calling it baking soda.
Baking soda is amazing because it's the pH.
Yep,
it gets your pH levels. There's a doctor in Texas, Berinsky, who treats people with peroxide, I think, and cures.
Similar.
And they're always trying to shut them down.
Or even like he uses iodine, which I'm like, okay, that's not even that's been used. That's literally used in the hospital now to clean your wounds or your,
I take iodine every day, and you living in Washington should take iodine just because of the rate from Fukushima, the Japanese plant. Like everyone on the West Coast should be taking iodine.
How do you take it? Like just in
just a drop, just a drop in water.
Okay.
The one I forgot the name. It's like a very common Lugers. It's Lugels.
I'd like to get some of that.
Very inexpensive, and it's something that we should all have on hand.
Because that's not really in a lot of food. It's hard to get in your diet,
exactly.
Right?
It's not in our salt, which again, why are we? They stripped all the good stuff from our salt.
Taking all the good stuff out of our stuff. Okay, so iodine, and then this is a good summary. So like some things people should look into. Again, we're not doctors, but look into it for yourself.
Yes, we're not doctors.
You could talk to like a holistic doctor about it too, based on your stuff, but like iodine, magnesium. I'm a big, you get more than I do over in Texas, but vitamin D can't hurt to take some extra vitamin D drops anyways. But I think that's something we're all really lacking in, most of us.
That's another thing that's interesting.
You don't think we are?
I agree with you. I mean, I know with COVID, they say vitamin D levels were very, people who are low.
Right. Had it.
COVID. So vitamin D levels should be up. But I do think the sun, and, I always wear hats, right? But I let my body absorb the vitamin D.
No, I do.
Because
that.
some people are saying that too much vitamin D depletes your copper.
Gosh.
And that I know.
Hard to keep up, isn't it?
That's the thing we have to look at. Like, why there's all these we do one thing, there's going to be a collateral damage.
That's true.
So that's why the natural way, the sun suddenly became the bad guy when really the sunscreen's loaded with all those chemicals that are making us sick.
I agree with you. Actually, that's something I've changed my mind on the last couple of years. Like, I don't even put sunscreen on my child or me. I just either put her in a rash guard if we're going to be in the sun for a while, or I'll just have her in the sun and then I put her in the shade. Like, you just limit. But me too. Yeah. They say you're enough to just get like a light pink and then you're good, because our skin, think about it again, our ancestors, they didn't have sunscreen. What were they doing?
And what they did was they were in the sun all summer. And this is the brilliant thing about vitamin D. Your body absorbs it and uses it in the winter months. Like, it knows when to use it. I'm not saying listen, if there's COVID going around and you want to, yes, vitamin D is going to boost your immune system. Sure. But I just think this obsession with too much
and it's better to get it from the sun.
And then you get gray hair. Yeah. Believe me, I went down this rabbit road. Now I'm taking oysters, supplements to give me copper back because I don't want gray hair. There's but this is what the brilliant, again, it's so fascinating, right? Like, if we start digging deep into these scientific discoveries.
Yeah. But I think, again, always if you can get it from natural, like, I think getting it from the sun obviously is better, but if we can't, then take a little here and there. That is the thing. Like, I feel like we're fixing our problems. So, like, I'm getting this, paying, which is like pathetic that I have to pay for reverse osmosis water. And because I don't have water where I am, I have no choice. So I'm paying for that, but then it's depleted of the trace minerals. So it's like, then you have to go and chase. You just have to know, you have to do your research. What's important to you? How are you feeling? If you feel great, then whatever. But if you're feeling weird, look into it. Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have like all these things now that I'm thinking about.
I know.
But I have to do it after the baby.
But also the stress of all that. We got to remember, we don't want to be, because again, we have to also do what we can and do it when we can and not be so stressed out about it.
That's true, because that's unhealthy too, to be obsessive about stuff. And I was going to ask you one more quick thing. Do you have an opinion? Because I've been feeding my baby girl, she's not baby, 18 months. I've been giving her goat's milk, organic, from a small farm. I just preferred to do that over cow's milk for some reason. I felt good about that. But do you have an opinion on goat versus cow?
Great, much better, because we can digest it better. I mean, if it were raw, it'd be even more ideal. But I know that's I'm
gonna go out to my backyard. I have a friend who has goats, and I'm gonna make her listen to this one because she's super into like farming, and she's really into this, like the supply chain.
The raw milk is a cure, and most people are regular milk at the grocery store. The reason why people can't drink it is because it's basically, they take the milk, they kill all the bacteria, good bacteria, and they leave it in the water, in the milk. Yeah. So you're drinking dead bacteria. Yeah. It's disgusting. Really homogenized gross. Milk is disgusting, but raw milk tastes so good. It's so creamy. It's so rich, and the enzymes and the minerals and the bacteria, it's all healing you, healing your gut. And it's so good for our hormones and our, that's like raw milk. They just became legal in Texas. Oh, so I'm really excited.
That's really cool.
But in California, I used to get my raw milk, Amish raw milk. Like, I'd have to get it in a back alley. It was illegal back then. And I'd have to meet my dealer in the back alley at the grocery store and get my raw milk. But once I had that milk, oh my God, there's nothing better. I mean, it's so good for our bones and, all of it. Right. And again, it's when you do the research, the dairy industry did not, they got behind this and said that people, maybe there was like one in like a million that somebody got sick from raw milk, but it wasn't as common as they say.
And remember the whole milk campaign? This is the thing, and not to be like negative Nancy or like conspiracy theorist, but you just think about stuff like we know now a lot of people don't drink as much milk as we used to think you had to, like in the 70s and 80s, right? Like I remember our family actually never did that, thank God. But like I remember everyone having milk every meal, and we never had to do that. But it disgusted me, honestly. But remember the milk campaign? It was like you have to drink your milk every second. And I'm like, oh my God, they were like making us drink this hormone-filled crap for years. Like this is so disgusting.
It's so, and then if you want to be, the thing that gets me too is for the environmentally correct people that go out and buy almond milk.
That's not
First of all, the almond milk, the store-bought almond milk has sunflower oil, all the PUFAs. Those PUFA oils are the worst thing you can have. Worst thing. Plus, it takes something like 7,000 almonds, you know what I mean, to create. Yeah. Whereas like I can't remember the statistic, but a cow grazing in a green field emits so much less greenhouse gas than all the almonds that they put in one thing of this almond milk. I love like a pure almond milk that I make myself, with vanilla and dates, and I soak it. But that's not often, and I make it at home.
And I did find a pretty good one. I was experimenting because I didn't want to give a lot of dairy, but it's called Malk, M-A-L-K. It's not perfect, but it's just literally almonds, filtered water, and they add some Himalayan pink salt. I'm like, okay, that's like pretty good. At least it doesn't have all those fillers.
Yes,
you got to do your
research. That's a good brand.
Yeah, it tastes really good. Very cool. Wow. I feel like we hit some really cool topics. I feel like we could keep going, but I also feel like
big one. Definitely the oils, the PUFA oils, seed oils are so bad for us.
Oh gosh, I know. And that's the thing with, there's fads, right? Like, we do this and then really, that's actually not that good. Now we shouldn't be using olive oil at high heat. We should use avocado. It's like everything.
You know what? Like you said, let's go back to our ancestors. They knew. And it's like pre-World War II, because after World War II, it got all,
things changed. I know.
Yeah. It was all before that, and follow Weston Price. I don't know if you know about Weston Price, but oh my gosh, Weston Price Traditions. You've got to get his book.
Okay.
Sally Fallon has a great cookbook called Nourishing Traditions.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, if you did that, it would change your life, your children's lives. Because Weston Price was this anthropologist, and he tried to figure out why, as we got society, all the people's jaws got narrow and their teeth got bad. He noticed that in certain indigenous cultures, they were able to have wisdom teeth and their jaws were broad still. And they had these great jaws and they were strong and healthy. And he realized it all came down to diet. Once we stopped eating the meats and the raw milks and the creams and the eggs, we started our shapes of our faces started to change and our brain. And now, we became a sick society. So the Weston Price Foundation is a brilliant, amazing, they have great recipes, and it's all about, going back to our ancestors. Like my partner is Texan, and he has all his wisdom teeth.
Oh, really?
And he's got one of those, I'm like, you're like definitely like an anomaly.
And he didn't have any problems with it. The pain, like having the teeth left in, he never had an issue.
No, he had but he's like big. He was like raised on, milk and cows and like a good kind, I guess.
His jaw could support the extra teeth, I guess.
He could support it. I mean, I had my wisdom teeth out.
Me too. Yeah, most of us have.
That's another interesting thing about illness. If you have any autoimmune or some mysterious illness that you can't get to the bottom of, check your wisdom teeth.
Or your mouth. Do you have metal in your mouth? That's another thing. A lot of people are very sick if you have the silver, not even just silver, but the silver fillings and stuff. That can be really toxic for people because it's a slow leak.
Yes.
Luckily, they're not using that as much. But even I think the white, it's not that. You go to a more natural, if you're into this stuff, and more natural dentist, they use better products at least.
Better material.
I know. There's a lot. But I think, like you said, just trying to be balanced and educating yourself. Yeah, simplify.
Just simplify.
And it's not going to be perfect, but I think that's what I'm after I've listened to a lot of different podcasts, Luke's story, and then Daniel Vitalis, he's really interesting.
Well, I mean, those are the
But they talk
gurus
about what we're
right there.
talking about, right? Like it all makes sense to me and everything. Sunlight, food, what we're drinking, how we're living, spirituality. What did our ancestors do? Not saying that they had perfect lives. You could die from a toothache. You could back then. But at the same time, they were finding a lot of like, I don't know if it's like cavemen, but like, our ancestors, they had full teeth still in some of the skulls. So that would prove that there wasn't tooth decay because they weren't eating the things that we eat, like sugar, right? So I think we don't need all these things like fluoride, but we kind of do because we eat crappy diets. It's like we're trying to fix our problem. You know what I mean? Like we're chasing our problem. So yeah, I think the moral of maybe this podcast is just kind of like simplify, but you can still enjoy some modern luxuries, right? But balance it.
Yeah. Definitely. And my favorite thing right now is to get have a dandelion latte in the afternoon where I froth it with raw dairy cream and put these like marshmallows made of grass-fed marshmallows in them for the collagen and the gelatin and, natural raw honey from our hives. So it's like this best of both worlds. We have this marshmallow that they can make now with grass-fed beef, but yet it's the raw milk of our ancestors, and dandelion comes from the earth. That's and cool. It cleans your liver. It gets rid of excess estrogen. It's like, tastes good. Yeah. If we can find a balance of those two worlds.
Plants are really our medicine. They really, truly are. Yeah. Wow. Well, I loved this conversation. Thank you. This is really cool. I love just kind of, dabbling in a whole bunch of different little areas, but it has a common theme to it. So yeah, I think, I love it all. So thank you for being such a great voice. I love your Instagram. I love following you. Like I said, it's sprinkled with some spirituality, self-care, but also some truths out there, what's going on in the world. And would you mind sharing where people could find you?
Sure. It's Local Rose, just Local Rose on Instagram. And then I have Shiva Rose Beauty for my skincare line. And then my blog is The Local Rose. It has a the. And then my book is called Whole Beauty, which is about transforming your life through rituals and beauty and spirituality. And that can be bought on Amazon or bookstores around here, hopefully.
Cool. I love it. Wow. Well, I'm so glad that I finally had you on. I had my eye on you. There's a few guests that I've always been like, I have to have them on. And I'm just happy that we were able to connect. So thank you.
Me too. Thank you for all you're doing. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful pregnancy and birth. And yeah, I know you're incredible. It's such a gift. It's such a beautiful miracle. I mean,
it is.
What a miracle.
It's something you can't explain until you've done it. I just never really realized it, and I'm still new to motherhood, but gosh, I just look at my daughter and I'm like, how are you mine? How are you here? Like, it's the greatest love I've ever experienced in my life.
Oh, what's her name?
Valentina.
I love that name.
Yeah.
I love that name.
Yeah. She's a sweet girl. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm so happy for you. Enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, you guys, thanks for listening. You can find me on Instagram at RealLaurenLive and my website, lauren.live. I hope you loved today's show because I know I did. Take care.
Thank you.